over, walk over to the car, thank him. He said, no problem, man, no pressure. He said, get in the back seat. I said, my wife's on the way, man. We live right up the street. I said, no problem, just get in the back seat, thank her, wait until she gets here. I put my son in the back seat. I go to get in. My son says, Dad, your arm is bleeding really bad. I look down at my arm. It was cut up pretty bad. I say, hey, bro, I'm going to just pace until my wife gets here. I don't want to drip any blood in your car. He was like, no problem, man. Give me a second. I'm going to get out with you. And so I just started walking because I'd never been in an accident like that. As I'm walking, I'm like, man, we really just flipped over. Right? And the guy walks up behind me. And he taps me on my shoulder. And when I turn around, he says to me, you don't remember me, huh? I was like, nah, man, I can't say that I do. He said, you really don't remember me, huh? I was like, nah, man, I can't say that I do. He said, really? In my head, I'm like, bro, I just almost flipped off a bridge. That's a traumatic experience, bro. It's a real experience. He was like, give me a second, and we went to the car and get my phone. I was like, all right, cool. And I keep pacing, and he walks up to me, and this time when he tapped me on my shoulder, I turn around, he puts his phone right slap dab in the middle of my face. And it was a picture of me and him, hugged up, cheesing, smiling, ear to ear like we were brothers. And he says, last year was the toughest year of my life. He said, I saw you in the airport. He said, I walked by you, I stopped, I came back. He said, you were nice to me, you were gracious to me, gave me a few kind words, and you took this picture with me. He said, I'm sure you meet a lot of people, man. He said, when I walked off, I was just like, light, just let me see him again. I want to be for him what he was for me in that moment. He said, when I saw the truck flipping, I didn't know that was you. He said, hey, this is my exit too. He said, I didn't know that was you until I saw you run around and I saw your arm when you were pulling your son out of the truck. He said, I didn't know that was you. He said, so all life was given me was what you gave to me over a year ago. The encounter, all life was given me back was the law of reciprocity. I'm a firm believer in life, we get what we give. Right? The energy, the passion, the love, the compassion, the empathy, like what we give out, we always get it back. That's why I love when the quote card said, most of the time when we lose one blessing, another one shows up unexpectedly. Right? We always get what we give. We have to be willing to value people. And so every single week, someone comes up to me and they say to me, Inky, be honest with me. You said you wouldn't change what happened to you. I'm like, I wouldn't. They're like, come on, man, what about the paralysis in your arm? Like, it is what it is. What about the atrophy? I'm like, it is what it is. Like, come on, if you could be in the NFL right now making millions of dollars, you wouldn't change what happened to you. Like, I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. Because for most people, when opposition, adversity, or challenge shows up, most people look at it and their perspective goes to a space and place. Okay, what did you lose? Okay, how did it affect you? What did you have to give up? Not that that's irrelevant, that's very real. But very few people's perspective goes to the space and place. Okay, I know you didn't like it, I know it didn't feel good, I know it hurt it, but what did you gain from it? How did it make you a better mother? How did it make you a better father? How did it make you a better team member? What did you extract from it that you can add value to the environment you go into and the people's lives that you come in contact with? Very few people's perspective goes to that space and place. And I'm a firm believer that perspective drives performance. How we view what we do will always affect and impact how we do what we do. Perspective is a powerful thing. And so when most people are asking the questions, they'll often think about what they see and consider to be a tragedy. I don't look at it that way at all. But when I got to the University of Tennessee, I was the first one in my family to attend college. Big deal for me. First one to get a scholarship. Big deal for me. But I was coming into an environment that was Mayberry. Like they had steak, shrimp, spaghetti. Guys got any type of shoes they wanted. Jogging suits, like all type of stuff. Like, I'm not sure if any of you all have been in a college facility as of late. Like, mostly every August, I'm with teams all over the country doing work, preparing them for the season. Like, they got nap pods, right? Like, it's unbelievable. Like, nap pods. Like, a kid could be walking down the hall and they're like, "You tired? You want to take a nap?" You have a bed. And so when I get there, I have a meeting. And in this meeting, they say to me, Inky, what do you want to accomplish academically? I said, I want to graduate in 3 years. They said, great. They said, what do you want to accomplish through the game of football? I said, I want to go to the NFL after my 3rd year. They said, awesome. We'll see what happens. I'm coming to my 3rd year. I'm watching film in our team room one day, 2 big projector screens, similar to this. And as I'm watching film, my defensive backs coach comes into the room. A guy by the name of Larry Slade, great guy, great leader. He says, Inky, I got some great news for you. I said, what you got, coach? He hands me a sheet of paper. He says, man, can you believe you're on track to graduate in 3 years? I said, awesome. He hands me the second sheet, Inky, you're projected top 30 draft pick. All you got to do is go play your next 10 football games. The way you know how to play ball, you'll be an automatic multi-millionaire. I dropped the clicker. I sprinted out of the room. I called my mother and grandmother on the 3-way. They pick up. I said, listen, after this season, we'll never struggle again. So we'll never miss another meal. Like, we'll never struggle. Our lives are about to change forever. And little did I know our lives are literally about to change. We come out the first game, execute, get the victory. Everything goes great. Second game, we're playing against Air Force. Tough group, disciplined group, great group of guys. 4th quarter of the game rolls around, a little bit over 2 minutes left. We break the huddle, we call quarters coverage. The play starts to unfold, I'm a cornerback. And so I was taught in that situation, just play everything back to front, just keep everything in front. So as the play is unfolding, I'm looking at the quarterback, he's dropping back, he's tapping the ball, he's looking in my direction, he releases it. Guy catches it, I go to make a routine tackle. And at the point of contact, as soon as I hit it, it seemed as if every breath in my body left. My body goes completely limp. I fall to the ground. As soon as I hit the ground, I black out. And then I come to, and my teammates are standing over me and saying, hey, let's go, let's rock, let's close them out. I said, I can't. I said, what you mean you can't? You always get up, man. You're leader, you're captain, let's go. You nurse your injury after the game. I said, I know, man, I can't move. I said, what you mean you can't move? I said, there's a shock going from the crown of my head to the bottom of my feet. I can't feel anything. The shock eventually left, but it stayed in my right arm and hand. I remember them bringing a spine board out. They put me on a spine board to get me to the ambulance. My father's standing there. I remember saying to my father, Pops, I got him, right? I put it on him, right? He said, yeah, son, but I think you got the worst part of this. They get me up in the ambulance. They said, we'll get you over to the hospital, run a few tests, put you in a room, it'll be fine. Things happen, you'll be good. They get me over, they run their tests, they put me in a room, and everything is calm. My mother comes in, she kisses me on my forehead, she cracks a joke. She says, you'll be fine, it's football, things happen, you'll be fine. And she goes to exit the room, and I'll never forget, I watched my mother, and she made a left. And when she made the left, I flipped my head back to the left. And when I flipped my head back to the left, I remember seeing the lead doctor running in my direction, and he was screaming. He was saying, guys, get in here. Gotta rush this kid back to emergency surgery. He could lose his life. And I remember thinking, like, man, what happened? Everything was so calm and cool. Like, what happened? And he was like, when we looked at the test, we noticed you ruptured your subclavian artery, your main artery, and you're bleeding internally. He said, we gotta rush you back and take the main vein out of your left leg, plug it into your chest in order to save your life. He said, oh, I guarantee you, you won't be alive anymore, you'll bleed out. He said, let's go. And the next morning I woke up, I had 6 incisions down my left eye, across the right, twice to my right ribs, cut out my right pec, bottom of my armpit to the bottom of my hand, 350 staples in my body, and bandaged me from my neck down to my knees. They said, when we went in to repair the artery, we noticed you had torn the nerves in your brachial plexus. I said, what's that? They said, it's the nerve roots that come from your spine that control shoulder, arm, hand, fingers. They said, think about it this way. When you plug something into a wall, that's how the brachial plexus goes into the spine. But once you rupture it, it can't go back in. It says, so the goal here is to get you to ADL. I said, what's ADL? They said, assisted daily living. They said, if we can get you to a point to where you go to a grocery store, you can carry a grocery bag under your right arm, that'll be a plus for us. They said, we understand you were right-hand dominant. If we can get you to a point to where you can write on a 3rd to a 5th grade level, that'll be a plus for us. They said, but your coach wants to speak to you, fill the form. And he comes in and says, Inky, something traumatic has happened to you. He said, we're gonna unenroll you, send you back home to Atlanta, be around family and friends to process it. I said, Coach, I greatly appreciate it, but I'm not going back to Atlanta. He said, yeah, but you can't play. I said, I get that, and I'm not going back to Atlanta. He said, so what do you want? What can we give you? I said, Coach, can you give me a Dunjoy sling and a Velcro strap? He said, why? You can't play. I said, this isn't about a game. He said, what is it about? I said, me finishing what I started. You know, the greatest lesson my mother ever taught me, when I was a kid, whatever I started, I had to finish it. Whether I got in the midst of something and didn't care for a coach, whether I got in the midst of an organization and didn't care for a leader, my mother would never let me start something and stop, because she would always say, the person that you will become by enduring the process is far more important than the person that you have to deal with in the midst of the process. Right? And so my perspective about starting something and stopping it, that was never an option. And so we thought it was predicated upon a game. It wasn't predicated upon that. I said, with all due respect, Coach, I never told my mother and grandmother I'm going to be the first one in our family to graduate college unless my right arm and hand gets paralyzed. I never said that. I said I was going to graduate college. I never said to my teammates, man, I'm going to be a great teammate unless my right arm and hand gets paralyzed. I said I was going to be a great teammate. Do something for me, man, because I'm a firm believer. People are amazing, man. Like, you guys are amazing. It's never about people not having what it takes. Sometimes people don't realize it's going to just take everything you got. Right? Blood, sweat, tears, sweat, song. It's going to take everything you got. Because in life, we don't burn out, we don't quit, we don't shortchange, and we don't stop because of what we do. In life, we burn out, we quit, we shortchange, and we stop because life makes us forget why we do it. Like, it's something called the aggregation of marginal gain. Right? Every single day, getting up and looking for marginal ways to become better in all that we do and all we're connected to. Because oftentimes, what do we think? If we want massive success and massive change, it's going to have to take massive action. Boom. Sometimes it just takes small changes. Changes in our language. Changes in who we hang around. Changes in the environment. Changes in the perspective. Right? I just ask one thing of you. As great as you are, as talented as you are, as skillful as you are, never allow life to make you forget why you get up and why you do this thing called life every single day. Right? I was on the ropes, man. Right? And I'm going to land the plane with this. I was on the rope after my injury. Up until that point, I had handled things, I would box things, I would get through things, and it was all good. But for the first time in my life, after my injury, 2 years after, right, when I got into speaking, I was on the ropes. For the first time in my life, I was questioning my ability and I was questioning my connection to the Creator. I had never been in that space before. I was in uncharted territory. I was always the guy that was optimistic. I was always the guy that could look at a situation, be positive. I was always the guy that the situation or circumstance didn't turn out in my favor. I could be like, man, it's all good. We'll get something from it. But for the first time in my life, a couple of years after my injury, I was like, man, like I don't see my way out of it. My life is going in reverse. Like, I'll never forget thinking I was going to be a coach. The plan was never to speak. They put me in public speaking in college. I dropped the class on the second day. I despised it. I was terrified. And I'll never forget, I got a call from my wife. And my wife was back in Atlanta, and I was in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I was coaching. And I had an opportunity to go to the University of Southern Cal. And the same night, my wife calls me. And I was on a copy machine at 2 a.m. And when I pick up, I hear my wife's voice trembling. And I was like, babe, you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm good. She's like, what are you up to? I was like, just making these copies, about to put them on coach's desk in the morning. So it'll be all good. I said, you sure you're okay? She's like, yeah, you're fine. And then she says, I'm pregnant. And it scared me so much, I was like, how'd that happen? She's like, you know how it happened. She said, I need you to make a decision. I was like, I got you. Next morning, I went and met with Coach. Said, hey, Coach, man, my wife's pregnant with our first kid. It's important to me to be there when my kid is born. My father wasn't there when I was born. He said, that's the right thing to do, you should. And I remember calling back to the rec center in my neighborhood because I plan to create leadership curriculums. And I called them. They was like, oh, no problem. Send your resume, man. All good. So I'll never forget, when I moved back, I hadn't heard anything from the rec center. I go up to the rec center. I say, hey, man, Inky Johnson. I sent my resume over there. She's like, oh yeah, we forgot to tell you, man, you were overqualified. I was like, overqualified? It's a rec center. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. And I had to move in my wife's grandmother's home. It was the lowest point of my life. And every single day I was getting up looking for employment. It just wasn't working out. And I'll never forget it, around the same time I was working on my book. Because my grandmother was ill, and it was something that I wanted to complete before she transitioned. And for me, it was just therapy. It was a form of therapy and journaling. And I'll never forget, I got my first little copy back, and I'm sitting on the bed one morning, and I'm about to break, man. I'm about to throw in the white flag and wave, I yield. And my wife is standing in the hallway, and she looks at me, and she says to me, Ink, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm good. She's like, you know, it's okay to say you're not okay. I said, no, I'm cool, I'm good. True, I wasn't. And sometimes, man, it's okay to say you're not okay. Right? Just make sure you got the right people around you to catch you when you're about to fall. And my wife was like, okay, I'm about to go teach these kids, because she was a teacher at the time. And I said, all right, meet me in the hallway. And I get in the hallway, and she's like, what's up? I was like, babe, you're not going to believe it. She said, what you got, Ink? I said, I'm about to head up to Chicago. I'm about to go take Oprah the book. My wife been knowing me since 10. My wife said, Ink, you know Oprah? I was like, no. She's like, you know somebody at Harpo Studio? I was like, no. She said, you sure? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, go for it. At the time, I had a 2X suit. You can see I'm nowhere near 2X. I had a couple $100 to my name. I had a truck with over 300,000 miles. I jump in my truck, I'm driving, I get to Chattanooga. I call my buddy Jeff. Jeff picks up, he's in Knoxville. I said, Jeff, you're not gonna believe it, headed to Chicago, I'm about to give Oprah the book. Jeff said, Ink, you know Oprah? I said, no. He said, oh, okay, I know what this is. He said, man, one of the things I really admire about you, you're an extremely ambitious person. He said, but the chances of this happening are slim to none. He said, I don't want you to take that trip, man, waste your time, waste your money, your wife be mad at you. Call me when you get to Knoxville. I called him when I got to Knoxville, he picked up. He said, you still going, aren't you? I said, yep. He said, stop by and pick me up, man, I'm gonna make the ride with you. How many people in the room know you need some people that'll make the ride with you? We get to Chicago that night, Jeff gets us a room. Next morning we get up, I go to the front desk, there's an elderly lady working. Jeff is standing in the corner waiting to go work out. I say to the elderly lady, can you please give me the best directions to Harpo Studio? And she's writing on a little napkin. I'll never forget, she slides it to me and she says, good luck, baby. I was like, thank you, I appreciate it. And I go to walk off and Jeff says, Ink, wait, man. He said, I'll get us a taxi, man. I'm sure this won't be long. And I'll never forget, we go, we pull up, and Jeff gets out and says, I'm gonna go find me a cup of coffee somewhere. I'm sure I'll be seeing you in a minute. All right? And this is when their last shows were happening. And so I just get out, man, cold turkey. I'm just walking outside of the building. Whenever a door would open or something, I'll run over to her and say, hey, I'm Inky Johnson. I drove up from Atlanta. I want to get Oprah my book. So he said, man, get out of here. We don't do that. Come on, man. I was like, man, don't y'all give away cars and houses. I got a book, man. Now, I'll never forget, everybody goes in. And I'm discouraged. I'm like, man, my wife can chew me out. And I go and I sit down and I'm sitting on the curb and I'm like, man. The gentleman runs over to me, he takes a seat beside me. He said, hey man, how are you? I was like, I've seen better days. I said, how are you? He's like, man, I'm great. We small talk for a little bit. He gets up, says, have a great day. He runs off. I look up, and coming down the sidewalk was Oprah and her security guard. I stand up, I fix my suit. I said, man, I gotta take my shot. I drove too far. I gotta Steph Curry this joint, right? I gotta take my shot, baby, right? And so I start walking. They keep walking, and in my head, I'm like, surely the security's gonna move me out of the way, but I drove too far, man. And I'll never forget, I keep walking, they keep walking. He stopped directly in front of me. I said, hey, I'm Inky Johnson. I drove up from Atlanta. I just wanted to give you my book. She's like, oh, that's nice of you. She grabs it, she hands it to the security guard. She suit. She started shaking the suit. She said, it's a nice suit. And she was trying to see if it was a gun or a knife in it, right? She's shaking it, right? I was like, thank you. I said, would you mind if I take a picture with you? Like, sure, no problem. I take the picture. He says, all right, I got to get in, I got to do my show. I was like, thank you very much. I go to walk off, and as I'm walking off, a security guard says, hey, little man, wait. He said, wait, come here, man, I want to share something with you. And so I go over to him, he said, I'm not saying you're going to be on the show, I'm not saying book club, I'm not saying any of that. He said, I just want you to know what just happened usually never happens. So usually she'll tell me, go up, clear them out, they'll send it somewhere, she'll never get it. So I just want you to know what just happened never happens. I was like, I appreciate that. I go to walk off, I send a picture out, family, friends, put it up. I put it up on social media, right? Everybody's response was, Ink, you gonna be on the show? You gonna be on the book club? I was like, I don't know, I don't care. It's like, what you mean you don't know, you don't care? I said, that moment wasn't about that for me. They said, well, what was it about? I said, I needed to know that I was still being guided by a source and by a force that was a lot greater than me. My faith on trial, my belief, my hope, like the things that drove me. I was in uncharted territory, so I needed to put myself outside of my comfort zone. Right? The comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. And oftentimes when we're trying to do a new thing in our lives, we're still operating from the old model. And the thing that does us good when we place ourselves outside of our comfort zone, it stretches us. It makes us think different. It makes us do things different. It makes us speak different. But most importantly, it gets us up with a certain level of drive and dedication and commitment that we're not used to. Right? Commitment for me has always meant, can we stay true to what we said we would do long after the move that we've set it in has left? It's going to be a lot of things that we declare in this room and over the next few days. When opposition, adversity, or challenge hits, can we stay true to what we said we would do long after the move that we've set it in has left? That's my time. God bless you.